My formula for greatness in a human being is AMOR FATI, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it. All idealism is mendacity in the face of what is necessary, but love it. Amor fati literal translation is love of fate, meaning to embrace one's fate. This concept has been linked to Epictetus. It has also been linked to the writings of Marcus Aurelius. However, it found its most explicit expression in Nietzsche, who made love of fate central to his philosophy. Section 276 of his book, The Gay Science, he wrote, "I want to learn more and more to see as beautiful what is necessary in things. Then I shall be one of those who makes things beautiful. Amor fati. Let that be my love henceforth. I do not want to wage war against what is ugly. I do not want to accuse. I do not even want to accuse those who accuse. Looking away shall be my only negation. And all in all and on the whole, someday I wish to be only a yes-sayer." In this context, he refers to the yes-sayer not in a political or social sense, but as a person who is capable of uncompromising acceptance of reality per se. For Nietzsche, life's trials and tribulations acted as a gift. It provided human existence with meaning. Struggles morph into friendly donations to test ourselves that we embrace with open arms. The same goes for our enemies, rivals, and competitors. Respect and love to our enemies is crucial to appreciate the challenge they bring in return. Nietzsche wants us to accept life, to say yes to life, rather than hide from it. Embrace it head on. There is this concept of life-denying philosophies, which are philosophies that attempt to soften or even erase both the pains and pleasures of this life. For Nietzsche, these were the most self-destructive life-denying philosophies. A life-denying philosophy encourages individuals to resent and discount this life and look forward to another. Life-denying philosophies are those which cause an individual to hold out for some utopian future that will free them from all pain and sorrow. In the modern context, this utopian future is the act of being dependent on external stimuli you have no control over to bail you out and save you from difficulties and suffering. It's the act of taking the path of least resistance, and often the most cowardice and comfortable. Instead of taking this path, Nietzsche proclaims that we see mortality's trials as something to struggle with and overcome. In the process, we become stronger for it and build the mental fortitude to withstand life's suffering. At age 67, Thomas Edison returned home early one evening from his work for dinner with his family. Back then, he already was America's most famous inventor, enjoying his eminence and financial success. But this tranquility was threatened permanently that evening when, as he finished eating, a man came into his home with some urgent news. A fire had broken out at Edison's research and production campus. Fire engines from 8 nearby towns rushed to the scene, but they could not contain the blaze. Fueled by the chemicals in the various buildings, green and yellow flames shot up 6 and 7 stories, threatening to destroy everything that Edison worked so hard his entire life to build. Edison calmly made his way to the fire, through the now hundreds of onlookers and devastated employees. Finding his son standing shell-shocked at the scene, Edison would utter these famous words, "Go get your mother and all her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again." "Don't worry," Edison told his son, "it's all right. We've just got rid of a lot of rubbish." 67 years of priceless records, prototypes, and research were turned to ash. The buildings had been insured for only a fraction of their worth. Thinking they were immune to such disasters, Edison and his inventors were covered for about a third of the damage. Yet Edison did not weep. He did not rage. he did not throw himself into the flames. Instead, he got to work. He told a reporter the next day that he wasn't too old to make a fresh start. "I've been through a lot of things like this. It prevents a man from being afflicted with ennui." The fire that destroyed his life's work actually invigorated him. The Stoics loved the metaphor of fire. Marcus Aurelius would write that a blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. That's what Edison did. Faced with a huge obstacle that would have devastated and destroyed any other person, he absorbed, burned it for fuel, and was made better for it. Within only 3 weeks, Edison's factory was partially back up and running. Within a month, its men were working 2 shifts a day, churning new products the world had never seen. Despite a loss of almost $1 million, about $23 million in today's dollars, Edison would marshal enough energy to make nearly $10 million in revenue that year, more than $200 million today. He took a massive disaster and turned it into the spectacular final act of his life. The Stoics had another metaphor for what they called the logos, or the universal guiding force of the universe. We are like a dog tied to a moving cart, they thought. We have 2 options. We can struggle with the foolish notion of control and dig our hind legs in, challenge every step and get forcibly dragged. Or we can smile, tell ourselves that the driver is taking us exactly where we want to go, enjoy the trip, and take our freedoms where they come. Near the end of his life, Theodore Roosevelt fell ill, and a doctor told him he'd likely be confined to a wheelchair for the rest of his days. "All right, I can work with that." He was cheerful about it. He leaned into it, and as it happens, was up walking around soon enough. We don't get to choose what happens to us in life, whether we're in a wheelchair or staring at the burnt-out wreckage of our factory. But we can always choose how we feel about it, whether we're going to work with it or not. Why would you choose not to work with it? Why would you choose not to accept it? Why on earth would you choose to feel anything but good? If the event must occur, AMOR FATI, a love of fate, is the response. No looking backwards, sideways, only forward with a smile. Again, learning to accept our destiny, learning to accept what we can't change is one thing. It's hard enough, but after understanding that certain things, particularly bad things, are outside our control, is this: loving whatever happens to us and facing it with unfailing cheerfulness, because at the end of the day, that is the only thing we control. The power to decide our attitude and perspective towards life. That is a truly powerful force. The power of AMOR FATI is that it doesn't waste time. As Nietzsche was saying, wishing things were different, looking backwards or forwards or through the history books to find out if what's happening to you is fair. It only looks at what's happening with enough strength to say, I have what it takes to make this good for me. It spends nothing on bitterness or blame and puts everything towards gratitude. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more daily content.